Access Sacramento's Power of Voice Award presentation is sponsored in part by State Farm. Access Sacramento thanks State Farm, a longtime sponsor of public access and the community voice. Hello, and welcome to Access Sacramento's 8th Annual Power of Voice Award celebration. I'm Bob Smith, Chairman of the Board, and tonight, Access Sacramento salutes and congratulates an organization whose work in the community truly demonstrates the power of voice. Tonight, we honor Black Lives Matter Sacramento, and in this age of COVID-19, we're going to do it virtually. The Power of Voice Award is Access Sacramento's highest honor. Winners must be outspoken defenders of free speech as a way to facilitate democratic or social debate in the community. They must be agents of change in community thought or behavior, many times representing those whose own voices are underrepresented. And they must be previously connected with Access Sacramento, having appeared on our television channels or radio station. Our board of directors agrees Black Lives Matter Sacramento's dedication to expanding the community voice as a peaceful effort in difficult times makes it particularly deserving this year. One of the people who's been sharing the Black Lives Matter story is Access Sacramento's own Ed Fletcher, and he'll guide us through tonight's award presentation.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks for giving me the honor of hosting this year's ceremony. When Bob asked me to host this year's Power of Voice Award honoring Black Lives Sacramento, I quickly said yes. I've got great respect for Black Lives Matter movement, and Bob offered to help me with my insurance problems. Seriously, though, I became acquainted with Black Lives Matter the same way most people do, in the streets. In the days after the 2018 police killing of Stephon Clark, hundreds of Sacramento residents took to the streets. At the bullhorn and calling the shots were the ladies of Black Lives Matter Sacramento. Along the way, I discovered a new reporting style. I used Facebook Live to narrate the action and gather interviews in real time, while another reporter in the office wrote the story for online and print. That year was my last at the Bee, and so ended my live reporting until George Floyd was killed. In the wake of his death, I decided that even if I didn't have someone to pay me to be there, it was important to share my voice.
Every city is different, but in Sacramento, our goals are to fight for three things. The first being fighting against state violence. So when we say state violence, we're referencing violence towards Black people, either by law enforcement or by our government, any type of violence that's enacted toward Black people in Sacramento. The second thing that we work toward is policy changes and legislative changes, so that our laws that are there to supposedly protect us will lean into community more and less into the government, and so that we could have oversight of law enforcement and make sure that there's equity at every level in Sacramento and in California when it comes to racial issues. We try to bring healing and joy into communities that see a lot of trauma. So a lot of Black communities, they experience either violence from within or they experience violence from law enforcement. You can see a lot of Black communities are over-policed. So we try to go into those communities and bring about any type of healing that we can bring to that community, and then any type of celebratory type of events and actions that will bring joy.
Avoiding any type of conflict, all while they're trying to make change in policing, and they're not hearing the people, and their changes are whack. Their changes are just pacification. They're all symbolic. They've already been implemented, and they're still terrorizing us.
It's important to me because I feel like we need all of these things to happen. They need to happen all at the same time in order for us to keep moving forward. We need to be able to fight so that we can win, and we need to be able to heal while we're doing it, because the fight's hard and living while Black is hard, and so we have to do all of these things at the same time.
They're still terrorizing our communities. All of the people that we've been fighting for in the last year and a half have been children that have been roughed up by the police, children that have had guns pulled on them by the police, people in the community that have been terrorized by the police, 15, 16 cop cars going into the big park, which is McClatchy Park and Oak Park, going into the big park for nothing. For nothing.
I want to see change, and I'm not the kind of person to say, oh, I may not see it in my lifetime. I want to see it in my lifetime.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love and support one another.
We must love and support one another.
We have nothing to lose but our change.
We have nothing to lose but our change.
Thank you for indulging me, but we played that video because the power of voice and this program is more ambitious than honoring one person or even one organization. It aims to inspire you to find your voice. Later in the program, we'll also talk to Sacramento filmmaker Diodonis Marquette about finding his voice through film. But first, Access Sacramento's executive director, Gary Martin, is going to introduce us to some of the previous Power of Voice winners, and we're going to learn a little bit about Access Sacramento.
Ed, thanks very much for helping to host this program and to honor and celebrate Black Lives Matter in the Sacramento region. Obviously, we're delighted that you're able to participate and to share your voice and the videos that you've done over the course of the last year in our channel. So thank you very much for being a part of all of this. But as we look back, the Power of Voice Award for Access Sacramento goes all the way back to 2013. And it was during our Sacramento Has Talent Awards show that we presented our very first Power of Voice Award. That first award went to Barbara O'Connor. She's the Sacramento State professor who is well known for doing her political research and for appearing on Access Sacramento and other channels to describe the work that she did. In 2014, Ginger Rutland was the winner. She is a Sacramento Bee editorial writer and nearly single-handedly helped rescue Access Sacramento when there was a funding cut proposed in the late 1990s. In 2015, we honored the executive director from the Council on American Islamic Relations, Basim Ilkara. He continues to be an outspoken opposer of hate crimes and has been recently elected to the school board. In 2016, Jerry Perry was recognized for his work with community music organizations, for putting bands on the air in the programs for Chalk It Up, for Alive and Kicking, the TV show, and later for Listen Up Sacramento on Access Sacramento. In 2017, Patrick Harbison was the winner for his broad nonprofit support. Harbison Public Relations has supported all sorts of nonprofits over the years. In 2018, Access Sacramento recognized Gina Knepp. She's the executive director, now retired, from Front Street Shelter. And through her work, Shelter Life, a program on Access Sacramento, talks about the work of the shelter and ultimately how to save animals. In 2019, the winner was the executive director from WEAVE, Women Escaping a Violent Environment. The executive director, Beth Hassett, was the winner that year, and she helped create many of the programs like Walk a Mile in Her Shoes, which is a part of what the WEAVE program does. And of course this year, in 2020, it is Black Lives Matter Sacramento that is the winner. And as you watch this program, you're going to be able to find out a lot more about what Black Lives Matter has done in our community, supporting those who are underrepresented and who need to have their voices heard right on Access Sacramento and more broadly across the community. But you know, Access Sacramento does a lot of programs that air on our channels that support our community. And that includes everything from our well-known Game of the Week and the sports programs to other hometown TV broadcasts. Let's take a look at some of what Access Sacramento does on an annual basis.
Before we get started, we'd like to welcome all of our Access Sacramento and Facebook family viewers. And 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Hi, I'm Ray Tatter, and welcome to Live Wire. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today is a really interesting day because during times like these, everybody wants to find a nice comic moment.
I said to host just like you were doing, and so many more, and then now I have a podcast as well, so you're right.
In the 1980s, the early 80s. And it's just been, it was just the only thing that I felt, motivated and excited about doing, particularly in my case, the performing arts.
Hi, welcome to the program. I'm Bob Crimmins, and this is Living in the West.
Felt made from animal fur, particularly the beaver, had become very fashionable.
Well, glad to be here. We are having so much fun here. And it's a great day where we're doing a tree lighting. We get a wonderful visit from Santa and Mrs. Claus. And most importantly, all the young kids here from Tiny Tots and neighborhood kids are singing and having a wonderful time.
The quarterback, Dorian Hale, getting through a big hole and a foot race, 69 yards. 4 players chase him, but they can't catch him.
Many of us right now, that knew Tammy, we've seen her pictures up here, and we can hear her right this second, right this minute saying, "Really, guys?" Yes, Tammy, really.
How could anyone ever tell you you are anything less than beautiful?
Her Find Your Voice show, she actually had, it was an all youth show, and that helps get the kids off the streets. Mm-hmm. It also helps to encourage their talents.
Right here on the Voice of Sacramento, we're now on the FM dial, KUBU 96.5 FM.
Well, there you have it, a look at a variety of programs from Access Sacramento, all sorts of things that we can be proud of that are not seen on any of the commercial channels in our area. But as we move forward, of course, Ed, tonight is really about focusing on Black Lives Matter Sacramento. And so let's take a look at some of the other things that you have going. Ed, I know that your next interview is with a local filmmaker.
Yeah, we're excited to talk to Diodonis Marquette. He's a local filmmaker who's really been sharpening his skills and sharpening his eye, and he spent some time out with the Black Lives Matter protest, and we're going to talk to him about that. At this point in the show, I would like to welcome Diodonis Marquette, a Sacramento filmmaker who spent some time following the Black Lives Matter movement and created a wonderful package. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Quick question. I wanted to know, what's your history with protest? Is that something that came natural to you, or do you see yourself as part of the protest or separate from the protest? And what compelled you to make this?
Well, I'm probably a little bit of both. I would like to think so, right? But no, I was part of the group that was really moved after the recent protests with everything that was kind of going on in the world. And I've just felt kind of really inspired to, do whatever I can to kind of help the movement. And me being a filmmaker, I felt like getting out there in the streets with the camera and actually, doing something creative to kind of show their perspective was kind of my goal, and something that I could do to the best of my ability to kind of help the movement.
All right. Thank you for that. Let's take a look at that piece.
I'm a young black man doing all that I can to stand. Oh, but when I look around and I see what's being done to my kind every day, I'm being hunted as prey. I'm a young black man.
Talk to me a little bit about the piece and how you sort of create emotion in your video work without it being looking overproduced.
Well, I guess just kind of getting out there and just guerrilla shooting it. I didn't really have a plan on how I was going to shoot everything. It was my first time kind of working with that camera rig that I had. It had like a vest and a stabilized arm and everything. But as far as how the story went, it was just really organic. Just everything was pretty much spur of the moment. I made sure that in order to get my best shots that, I was trying to be ahead of the group, or, be near the people who were kind of, leading the charge, as it were. And, I got some really powerful kind of just in the moments, right place, right time shots that ended up being, as beautiful as the video was in itself.
What lessons would you have for young filmmakers or somebody that's thinking about taking their camera out to the protest?
I would say do it. I would say be safe. But yeah, just go out there and do it, because there's not going to be anyone who's going to be holding your hand, for this time. And, we're living in a time where we need to kind of document, what's going on, because this is, right now us making history. So you don't have to be a professional photographer or videographer in order to make an impact, in order to tell a story. You just have to be willing. So the advice I would give is to go out there and be safe.
Thank you for sharing your story, your video, and some tips for other filmmakers who are waiting for their opportunity.
Absolutely, Ed.
I'm proud to introduce a woman that is quickly making her own voice heard as the incoming Sacramento City Councilwoman representing District 4, Katie Valenzuela. While some people might be tempted to lay back and wait till they're actually installed before staking out positions on controversial issues, Valenzuela charges ahead, voicing her opposition to Darrell Steinberg's strong mayor proposal and inviting citizens to craft an alternative budget she's calling the people's budget. Welcome to the show, Katie.
Thank you, Ed. As you mentioned, as an incoming city council member and a legislative advocate in my day job, I know a lot about how to get change done within a system, writing policy proposals, scheduling meetings, counting votes. But as a lifelong community organizer, I also know a lot about the power of working outside of a system and lifting up the voices of impacted communities demanding change. My dad taught me that we must let the voices of those most impacted, for better and for worse, by systems speak for themselves and be the architects of solutions to meet their needs. That's why I've dedicated my career to fighting alongside communities in pursuit of social and environmental justice. And that's why I decided to run for city council, so that I could help bring those voices into City Hall. But I'm just one person. I really depend on those organizing and agitating outside of City Hall to help push us to do more and to be better, particularly on such a critical issue as the protection of Black lives. Day in and day out, in the heat and the cold, rain or shine, Black Lives Matter Sacramento, led by Tanya Faison, has shown up. They have helped to activate our community and are pushing us to have hard conversations and to be bold in the changes that we seek. That's why, for all of these reasons and more, I am really proud to be here to present the 2020 Power of Voice Award to Black Lives Matter Sacramento.
Well, thank you so much, Katie. I love you, and congratulations on your new position as a city council member. I just wanted to thank everybody for this, and thank Access Sacramento for giving us this award. We work really hard, and we're going to continue to work really hard. It's really important for us to get out there and make sure that the city and the folks that are leading it are held accountable for anything that they do that is not just toward our people. We have a lot of work ahead of us. And we're going to continue to do this fight. We're going to continue to fight for our people through policy. We're going to continue going into the Capitol, into council chambers, into the streets, into offices, and having meetings. We're just going to continue to fight every way that we're able to. And I really appreciate this award. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya, for the work that you're doing, and all of Black Lives Matter Sacramento, the work that you're doing to make Sacramento a better place. Thank you to Katie Valenzuela for being here and the work that you're doing to make Sacramento a better place. Thanks to everybody who was on the program and a part of the show, from the people on front of the camera and the people behind the camera. This has been Ed Fletcher, And this is Access Sacramento's Power of Voice. Our mission is to empower you to make your voice heard. So please take that home with you and appreciate that as we move forward in this day. Again, this is Ed Fletcher, and this is Access Sacramento's Power of Voice. Thanks again.
Access Sacramento's Power of Voice Award presentation is sponsored in part by State Farm. Access Sacramento thanks State Farm, a longtime sponsor of public access and the community voice.